so beautiful and so self-explanatory from the famous saying is that it says that we have to feel so blessed to even born as a woman. So that explains, that holds the significance of how important to be a woman in the society. Okay, so we'll move on to the PowerPoint. So now I spoke about how to take care of yourself. That will come under the personal hygiene. Now we'll move on to the personal safety of women. How to take care of yourselves in a public forum when you are in danger. That is what we'll be dealing with in few of the slides. That is, we are going to see that. So in this presentation, PowerPoint presentation, we'll be focusing on domestic violence, human rights, and then bits and pieces of, YRC, NSS, all those stuff which ma'am already spoke about. So first thing would be domestic violence, which is again a condition that women are facing in a day-to-day basis. Even though we are talking about modernization of world, modernization of technology, but still we are way behind in providing a safe and secure environment for women. So that would be domestic violence. Statistics say that 3 out of 10 women every minute are encountering domestic violence. So if you have to know what is domestic violence, it's also a kind of a human right, because every human has a right and there has been laws for that. That's called the human rights set of laws and all. The same way, women are also human, which obviously means that women also have rights like every other humans, but then we are being denied of that. That is what will be about the domestic violence. There are different kinds of domestic violence which would be categorized as physical violence, same like abuse, physical, and it will be verbal, and also psychological kind of abuse. All those will fall under this domestic violence. So domestic violence is violence against women. It is a violation of the human rights, and we have a set of laws that supports this domestic violence for women, as well as a human rights set of laws which will again give hand to women who are in need of that. So this will be a statistics chart which indicates the percentage of women being affected, that is the different causes of violence, which would be domestic violence, sexual violence, and child marriage. I think child marriage and domestic violence kind of equates to the same, because usually domestic violence cases happen predominantly after marriages. You would have seen, you would have heard of many news that saying after the marriage, the husband and the relatives of the husband demand more dowry, and then they kill the wife or the daughter-in-law or something like that. So all this will fall under domestic violence. That is why we are focusing on domestic violence as a safety factor for women. So if you are a victim of domestic violence and if you would like to seek help about that, these are some of the programs that you could look into, wherein they'll be supporting you, to fight against these people and to feel kind of safe and secure and function as the normal human beings like the men out there. As I said, the domestic violence is not only about physical or sexual or something, it's also definitely an emotional abuse as well. So psychologically, how do women get affected because of this domestic violence is that obviously they'll have depression and they'll feel insecure. That is a feeling of not feeling important or safe in the society, and then which will lead to stress, and when stress adds up, it will automatically lead to the suicide of the individual. That is what is the consequences of domestic violence. As I said, this will be about the human rights, which is the rights offered to every individual in the society, including male, including female. That is more about the equality of male and female in the society. The rights that are being given to the male will obviously have to be given to the female, and when we are deprived of that, that is called human rights violation. So that is where the set of laws for human rights violation come into play. How do we be safe in the society, in this environment? That is why we have certain apps. For example, this is the Kavalan SOS app, which is the initiative of the Tamilnadu Police Force back in 2015. So I am sure you would have heard of that. If you are not aware of this, you can find this app in the Play Store. I want you all to install this app, and it is pretty simple. You just have to install the app and enter the specifics in that. And whenever you are in danger and when you are in need of help, you don't have to, call someone and tell everything in detail. You just have to dial this number, and it will automatically record what is happening, the video and the audio automatically for the next 15 to 30 seconds, along with your location, where you are with your live location, and then it will send the notification to the police department, so that whenever you encounter a danger, you will have police force coming in to rescue you out of that. So that is about the Kavalan SOS app. There is another app that is called Be Safe. It is again the same kind of app which we can install and use it, so that when you use this app, the emergency team will be notified, and then you can get help. Okay, so please do not take this lightly. So please do take into consideration and install these apps if you haven't. Moving on to today's inauguration. The first will be NSS clubs, that is the National Service Scheme. The role of all these clubs might be that you will have to have a sense of social responsibility. That is, you will have to become more of a social activist and engage in your surroundings as to what is happening. You will have to be aware of what is happening, and you will have to go and indulge yourselves in such clubs, because it is a sense of teamwork, and also it is your right as an individual to be available and help the people in need in the society, just like you do in another situations. Okay, so first we look into the logo of this club. NSS club logo is this, the one you can see in the top left corner. So it is based on the Ratham wheel of the Konark Sun temple. The logo has been taken from that, inspired from that, and it has two colors. You can see blue one and a red one. And the red one has 8 bars in the center. The 8 bars indicates 24 hours in a day. It's a cycle. It's a 24-hour cycle, which signifies the member of the NSS club has to work like that. That is 24 hours a day. Whenever you are getting called in by the people who need help, you are supposed to go there and be there for them and help them, irrespective of time or place or anything. That is the significance of the 8 bars in the NSS logo. And then there is a wheel surrounding that. That wheel indicates the cycle of creation, preservation, and the same cycle which continues. So the color blue indicates cosmos. Cosmos is universe. So the blue color in the Ratham indicates cosmos being a tiny part of this NSS, lending its hand to help. That is what the blue color signifies. And then there's a red color. Red color indicates blood. Blood is red in color. So which means youth or the members of this club are supposed to be fresh and active and full of spirit. So hence the color red and blue in the NSS logo. And you will have a pledge for NSS as well as YRC, which I think your coordinators might be letting you know about that in detail. I just had to mention that. So this will be the pledge of the NSS, and as ma'am mentioned, the slogan or the motto of the NSS might be not me but you, which means it provokes a sense of responsibility in every one of us, saying it's not me who has to start, it's you who has to initiate. That is the main motto of NSS. The next one might be YRC, that is the Youth Red Cross, which is a substituent or a small component of the main branch of the Indian Red Cross. So that is what the YRC, it specifically, as the name indicates, it is for youth, for people like us to inculcate or indulge more of ourselves into these clubs. And this is what the motto of YRC club, which will be HSF, that is health, service and friendship. Health, not only it means that you are supposed to take care of your health, but you are supposed to take care of your health as well as the people surrounding you. That is the first motto of YRC. And then the second one would be service. You should always be ready to serve the people who are in need of help. So that would be about service. And then friendship. That is again a very important part, because only when you develop a rapport between people, you will be able to, get to know them more. So you will have to have a sense of friendship in order to get along with them. So that will be the three mottos of YRC club. Moving on to the Red Ribbon Club, it would be about, as you all know, I think you would be familiar with this ribbon symbol, red color ribbon symbol. We would be seeing that on December 1, 8th day. I think annually only once we will be seeing that, because only on that day we will be celebrating 8th day. So this is the symbol of a Red Ribbon Club, hence the name. Okay, and then their motto would be prevention is better than cure, because as you all know, we are still researching about the nature and the cure for the disease called AIDS, which is a deadly disease and has been haunting us for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we are yet to find a cure for that. That is why the motto says prevention is better than cure. Now what does that mean? So in order to know what that means, we'll have to have a general idea about HIV and AIDS. Firstly, HIV and AIDS, that is not the same, because HIV is the human immunodeficiency virus, which is the causative agents which will cause AIDS. So many people tend to say HIV as a disease. HIV is not a disease, it is a factor which causes the disease. Okay, so just be clear on that. And that is a virus which has RNA as its genetic material. We humans have DNA, but then this virus has RNA as a genetic material. And then next would be AIDS. So we have 4 stages in this AIDS. The first one will be the primary infection state. Second would be the next progressive state, and then will be the latency period, where you will not know. Second will be asymptomatic, that is, you will not know that you are encountered this infection. The third would be the latency period, that is the masking period or the exposure period. And then the fourth would be the advanced stage, wherein you cannot cure the patient when the patient has gone to stage 4 of AIDS. Okay, so here are a few myths and facts about AIDS. So how are we prone to this infection would be the first one, that is the facts about AIDS. So if you have unprotected sexual relationship with a person, that would be the main and first important factor wherein you can be prone to this infection. So first would be unprotected sexual intercourse. And then in case of drug addicts, they tend to share the same needle. So through needle you will have transfer of this virus. And then blood transfusion. And in pregnancy, that is, if the mother is a carrier of HIV, she can transmit it teratogenetically through the placenta to her child. That would be about pregnancy. And then non-sterile instruments, that is again nosocomial infections that we call, that is the infections that you get from the hospitals, that would be the non-sterile instruments. So these are all the ways that you can possibly encounter HIV virus into your body. So these are the facts of HIV. Now we'll move on to the myths of the HIV. That is, you will not encounter HIV under these circumstances, but then it is believed, or it is a taboo that is in our society, wherein people believe that HIV can be transmitted through these ways, which would be touching. When you touch a HIV positive person, you will not encounter HIV. If you kiss a person, you won't be prone to HIV, you won't be affected by that virus. And then through food transmission, or through water source, that is the swimming pool, something like that, through a common water source, you won't transmit HIV. And then through insect bites, we won't encounter HIV. So all these are the myths about HIV, which is not true. Only the above causes, that is the facts, which can only cause HIV. So I want you to be clear about what causes HIV, so that you can be aware and you can protect yourself from HIV, because as the motto says, prevention is better than cure. So for you to understand something, for you to be safe from something, you will have to know from what you have to be safe. So you will have to have all these facts about HIV in your mind, so that when you encounter a situation like that, you will know if I do this or if I'm exposed to this, I'm exposing myself to the virus. So you are not supposed to do that. To have that kind of knowledge, you will firstly have to know under what circumstances you will be exposed to this HIV virus. And suppose, let's say, I am prone to HIV infection and I have HIV virus inside my body. Now, it has entered my body. There is no going back. I cannot remove the virus from my body on my own. So once that enters our body, it is something called the pathophysiology of the virus. For every microorganism, there is something called a pathophysiology, meaning the way the microorganism will interact and work in our body. That would be the pathophysiology. So pathophysiology of HIV would be, first, the virus will attach to our cell. As you all know, cell is the basic unit of life which contains the DNA, the genetic material. So what happens is the HIV will bind to our cell, and once it binds, it will fuse with our DNA. So viral RNA and human DNA will fuse. After it fuses, with the help of an enzyme called reverse transcription, transcription process happens. I don't want to go in detail, okay? This will be more of a molecular level. It will definitely bore you. So we'll just have to know an idea about what is happening. So reverse transcription happens. After reverse transcription, we will have integration. That is, integration means combining. So the RNA and the DNA will combine. After it combines, it replicates. So once it joins, that is, once it integrates, it will replicate. Replicate meaning it will multiply. So it will produce more copies of the viral RNAs. So once these copies of RNAs are produced, it will again form a colony of newly formed RNA viruses, and after that it will be released into the bloodstream. So this is how the virus enters. After entering our body, it enters the bloodstream, and from there it will progress to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4. But then the disadvantage, or the very bad thing about this is that you won't be able to identify this disease in the early stage. Mostly you won't be able to know that you are already infected by this HIV, because there will be only, of course there will be more symptoms regarding HIV which will look more common to us, and we often tend to ignore the small symptoms which will obviously accumulate and lead to a bigger problem. So there is something called a window period or a latency period, that would be from 2 weeks to 9 weeks, okay, which means or 3 to 6 months, which means firstly you will have to get a blood test done. To check whether you have HIV or not, you will have to take a blood test, and this virus will show up in the blood test only after 3 to 6 months after it has entered your body, which means this pathophysiology has to happen inside your body. Only then it will enter the bloodstream, and only after that you will be able to catch that in your blood test. That would be 3 to 6 months. So after that, depending upon the stage of the disease you are in, your treatment options might vary. But then again, there is no cure for HIV, so we will have to live with that. So as I said, these would be the symptoms of the HIV. It involves multi-system. Right from the head to your lower extremities, it will manifest in different ways. This would be that. Okay, this is the general body manifestation of AIDS. As you all know, I am a dentist, so pertaining to the oral cavity, how can a dentist identify, or what are the oral manifestations, or what are the general clinical manifestations of a patient with HIV would be this. The first one you see is called an oral candidiasis. That is, when the patient is prone to HIV, the immune system of the patient is completely compromised. They are called immune compromised individuals. So once your immunity is compromised, you will be susceptible to n number of infections, right from the fungal infection. That would be the most common one, would be candidiasis. That is, as you can see in the tongue, you will have white curdy-like presentation. That is called the candidiasis. It is caused by an organism called Candida albicans, which is a fungus. So along with the viral infection, you will have a super added fungal infection. Okay, so this one is an oral candidiasis. As you can see, it is white in color. It looks like curd, that thick it looks, and it has a very foul odor which is not at all pleasing to the patient as well as the doctor. So this is an oral candidiasis. And the next kind of candidiasis that you can encounter in any part of your body would be the vaginal candidiasis. That is, it happens in the walls of the cervix and the vagina. That would be vaginal candidiasis. Okay, these two are the very most common clinical manifestations of patients with HIV. Now we move on to the most important part. How do we prevent this HIV? So as of now, we know what causes HIV and what HIV can do to our body. So with that note, knowing all the facts about HIV and AIDS, we are now responsible to protect ourselves from this HIV. So how do we protect ourselves? The first one would be when you are indulging in a sexual relationship with a partner, you're supposed to do it with adequate safety and protection. That would be the very first step. You will have to consult a doctor. There is something called PrEP and PEP. PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis and PEP would be the post-exposure prophylaxis. That is, in case of a known HIV positive patient, you will have to protect yourself pre and post-exposure. That would be the PrEP and the PEP. The next one would be you should not use non-sterile instruments, or sharing of needles should be avoided at any cost. That would be the second thing. And then third thing will be you will have to get CBC, that is a complete blood count, every 3 to 6 months, because as I said, that is the window period of HIV. So if to be on the safer side, you will always have to get a CBC done every 3 to 6 months to ensure that you are HIV free. That is again very important. Now, since we are talking about blood test and all, and the prevention method, there is another one more important thing we all have to do, because this is the right age, that is from 9 to 45 years is a crucial time for women. So we have something called HPV, that is human papilloma virus. Okay, that is again another form of virus for which again we don't have any cure for that. So it is always better to get a vaccination done in order to prevent infection of these diseases. It is a 2 or a 3 dose vaccine, which depends upon when you get the vaccination done. So if you get the vaccination done in your early childhood, that is from 9 years or something, or in your teens, it would be a 2 doses. Or if you're getting it done after 15 or 20 years or something of age, I think it will be a 3 dose vaccination. So I am sure that it would be available in any government hospitals around nearby. You can go and ask them for this or about this vaccination schedule, or talk to your general physicians and get this vaccination shot as soon as possible, because we know that would be another threat like HIV. So again, we would follow prevention is better than cure. That would be another note, and I will circulate a vaccination schedule that is supposed to be done from the time of birth till now. I think I'll share it to one of your staffs over here so that you can get that done, or check are you appropriately vaccinated to encounter certain kinds of bacteria and microorganisms from which we are expected to suffer from certain diseases, like you have BCG vaccines and MMR vaccine, and then DTP vaccines. All these vaccines are all preventive measures for you to stay safe from certain known diseases. Okay, so this is very important. Please do have in mind, just like a COVID vaccine, you will also have to be vaccinated for HPV, that is the human papilloma virus vaccine. So till now I spoke to you about the hygiene, the awareness, and then the importance of all these 3 clubs and all. I am sure you will be wondering, what have I done to come here and give you a lecture about enrolling yourselves, urging yourselves to go enroll in these clubs. So these are the reports of the camps that I have conducted and I have attended during my internship at Savita Dental College. So I have been to Vishwaksenaa Tiny Tot School, and I have conducted a dental camp over there. All these are free camps. Basically, we educate and we evaluate the patients, and we urge them to go seek medical help if they are in need of that, because they might not be aware of that. So these are few documentaries that I have documented about the camps that I have organized and I have attended. I have been to various places like, schools with mentally challenged students, visually impaired and deaf and dumb, and to many rural areas, because all those places are where people who have no idea what is happening around them or what is happening inside the body. So as a doctor, I have been there and I have did my part. Now your school has taken an initiative in starting all these different clubs. It's because for you to have a sense of responsibility and a member of the society, you will have to do all this, because these are our basic rights. So it is a very good initiative taken by your institution. I hope that many of you would be enrolling in all those clubs, and not only just enrolling, but then you'll also be actively participating in all those clubs. Okay, I think all of you would have understood at least 1 or 2 things out of the 10 things I spoke today. Okay, if you want to talk to me personally, or if you want to ask me something, you can feel free and ask me. Okay, and one more very important point before ending this lecture, I would like to add one more thing. For me to be standing here as a doctor, all this was possible, all this started during my schooling. So I would like to tell about 4 women in my life. The first would be my teachers. And before I talk about teachers, I think it is only fair to talk about Amma first. As you all know, she is a dance teacher here, and so it was not only my dream, but it was also her dream for me to become a doctor. So she has supported me always, and that's why I'm here. That would be the very important reason. And the next reason would be my 3 beautiful teachers. That would be Mary Miss and Revati Miss. Both of them were my biology teachers. Right from my 2nd standard, they have been seeing me. And they have definitely, sculpted me, nurtured me. I don't know what the word is, but then definitely, they have a very big and very important role for me becoming a doctor, because if not them, I don't know if I would be here. So I think they would see this video somehow, and if possible, I would like to introduce them to you in person. So they were my biology teachers, and during my schooling, I was a part of Eco Club and Karuna Club. Obviously, I was a very small kid, so for us it all meant like a picnic or a day off from school or something very, happy, because we don't have to study or we don't have to be inside a classroom. We'll be taken outside for different rallies, and then we'll be given a 10 rupees biscuit packet and water bottle. So at that time it was all about that. I did not know the importance of all those at that time, but then again I had these 2 people pushing me all through my journey. They always took care of me. They were looking out for me, and they never let me. They took so much care. They dedicated their very, very precious time, and it's more of their hard work that has got me here. That is the truth that I should be telling you all. That is about my schooling. And once I got into college, since they were only zoology teachers, and I was in a completely different institution, that is, I was surrounded by doctors in my college, so I couldn't have them there. But then again, I was so fortunate to have met Dr. Sneha. She is an oral and maxillofacial surgeon, and she is a very excellent surgeon, and she again always stood up for girls, for women. And whatever happened in my college or during my college days, she always made sure that I personally felt comfortable and felt something productive. because she used to, always study. And she would constantly, talk about certain topics. She would always indulge herself in various seminars or, any conferences and all those, because she always kept her mind open and she was open to all kinds of stuff. So she was very inspiring again. So these three people, these three staffs in my life, they were more than that, because Sneha ma'am back in college, she used to tell that I am her adopted daughter, because that's how that was the kind of connection she had with me. I think a teacher's role in every student's life is very, very, very important. If these three teachers can mold me into a doctor and they made me stand in front of you all today, I'm sure you would also have any person in your life like that, who could inspire you, to do more and to do something productive. So with that person in your mind, have that person in your mind and work towards that, so that tomorrow you can be in my shoes, you can be standing like how I am today in some other platform, and you can be talking about what inspired you, and from there somebody else can get inspired from you, and they will again indulge in these social activities. So I would like this to be the take home message from today's lecture or talk or something, which would be that always learn and be inspired, or keep inspiring the people around you and learn from them, so that somebody else would be inspired from you and they might learn something from you. Again, small drops will form a big ocean or something, they tell that, right? Siru thuli peruvellam. So all these small steps would lead to a bigger outcome, which would lead to the a very good future. As Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir used to say, youth are the future of this nation. So it is in our hands to create or to develop the kind of future we want to live in. So it does not have to stay only in the words of Dr. Abdul Kalam sir, but I feel it has to come into action. So each one of you act accordingly, act at the right time, and so we'll have a better world to live in. Thank you.
Vishwaksenaa. It is not just an institution, it is an experience. For admission, contact Vishwaksenaa Vidya Vikas Matriculation Higher Secondary School 9566205555, Vishwaksenaa Global Senior Secondary School 87545-30170, Vishwaksenaa Arts and Science College for Women 8680-56635, Vishwaksenaa College of Education B.Ed 9440-58844, Polivakam, Thiruvallur, Vishwaksenaa Tiny Tots 85318-11111, Punganagar, Thiruvallur.